Welcome to Real Talk, the unedited, scripted, unfiltered show where I sit down with a gaming personality and talk about anything and everything. This week's episode was originally going to be Artosis, but Naniwa contacted me yesterday to be on the show. So Artosis will still be on, but just at a later date. I also want to state before we get started that there are a lot of different situations that you guys probably want me to cover. Most of these have full-fledged responses from everyone involved out in the public already and actually won't be covered. So let's go ahead and move on with the show. Today's guest is the most controversial player in all of StarCraft 2. From the infamous Probe Rush to the 8 different teams he's been a part of, the Swedish player Naniwa has been criticized by almost every member of the community, but rarely ever has a chance to speak for himself. Today, after requesting to be on, he has that chance. So, without further ado, Naniwa, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. Quite the introduction.
yeah, I tend to hype those up a little bit. So before we jump into your childhood, as we kind of do here on Real Talk, let's obviously talk about the current news. And guys, I do want to say Naniwa's actually kind of sick right now, so if he doesn't get every cough, just bear with him. But let's talk about the current news, man. Your history with StarCraft 2 teams is one of the most dramatic, really, in the scene. You've been on MTW, Serious Gaming, MYM, Power Gaming, Team Empire, Dignitas, Complexity, and most recently, up until yesterday, Quantic Gaming. Quantic released the following statement. While we believe that Johan has thrived in his relationship with our family, we do not believe in holding players who no longer wish to be with us. We are grateful for the time he has spent with us, and we are proud of the growth he has shown as a player and as a member of the community. Contrary to really all the other times you've left a team, this one seems to be in a positive fashion. Why did you want out of your contract with Quantic?
Wait, let me find the list of the teams and then I'll talk through every single one.
Okay.
Since we have a lot of time at Real Talk anyway, I
sure.
might as well explain
yeah, I mean,
everything.
I was going to hit on him as well, so it's up to you, though.
yeah, sure. MTW, it was only 2 weeks into the StarCraft 2 beta, so it was like the first team that picked up StarCraft 2 or so. So I don't think that's like a serious team. I was never contracted or so. MTW is obviously a serious team, but I was not contracted and I didn't get paid and so on. Serious Gaming, Rotterdam was on that team. He transitioned from Warcraft 3 and, well, as you all know, he basically chose the casting route instead. So he was never that active as a player compared to in Warcraft. Serious Gaming was really good, but how to say, when you're on the rise, there is always something better on the other side. It's like the grass is greener on the other side, I guess.
Right.
It's the best expression here.
Right.
I think it was not really any problems. It was just difference in ambitions at the time. It was more that I wanted more than they were willing to give me, so I chose to take a risk and pursue it instead of staying.
Okay.
Obviously, I had problems with a lot of teams though, so that's not the case for all the teams. Of course not. For example, MYM, everything was fine until... Okay, this story, it's about the time I was in Germany. I lived with Cloud. And basically, we both played the EPS League. I'm not sure if you know about this, but do you?
Yes, yeah, I know the EPS League.
And they have this penalty point system, where if you reach a certain penalty point, you're kicked out of the league.
Right.
So basically, I was on the edge of that. For obvious reasons, I was flaming or something like that. But then eventually, nothing happened for a long time, and I forgot to send in a replay after I played a game, which caused me to get the final penalty point, and got me kicked out of the league, just because I missed a replay. But clearly, I got the other points for bad behavior too, so it's basically my own fault anyway, I think. Even if the system is not correct, I mean, optimal.
Now, I got to ask, because I know a lot of people are going to be wondering, it was
Sure.
just the replay. That did you talk with any admins? Did you have favorable words for them? I mean, it seems like there's always, at least on the other parties, when it comes to matters with yourself, the things that kind of happen that never really come up from your side of things. Was it just the replay?
That case, it was just the replay, yeah. The
Okay.
other penalty points were different factors, but it was like a limit, as I said.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it said in the rules something like, if you forget to send in the replay in this amount of time, then, yeah, you get a penalty point.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So I guess it made sense, but like I flew the day before from Sweden to Germany just to play that match. And when I won the match, I went to sleep because I was so tired after the flight. And then I forgot to send in the replay.
Gotcha. Well, that's shitty, man.
And
I'm
that
on your
really
side on
sucked, and
that.
I tried to reason with the league, but
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
still my fault. But I think it was a bit too extreme,
Sure. Sure.
especially when I've already lived in Germany for 6 months.
Right. So
So-
next team, Power Gaming.
Yeah,
Or-
basically after MYM, I felt like I wanted to quit the game. I just felt like I wasted 6 months for no reason. I didn't get anything out of it, and StarCraft 2 wasn't big enough at that point to like get a good salary and so on.
Right.
I guess it was like this. I didn't play for a few months. I was thinking what I was going to do with my life and so on. And basically, I saw all the shit I got, like all the threads flaming me, all the hate, and I just felt like I don't want to end like this.
Uh huh.
I'm not going to let it end like me being flamed, hated, and a nobody. So that's the time where I started to practice like 24/7, and I really wanted to make it back. So basically, Power Gaming was the only team at that time who would like send me to events and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But I did really well in a few leagues. It was like what time was it? It was right before TSL or during TSL.
TSL 3.
I started to
Okay.
win a lot of TSL 3, where I started to win a lot of matches and such. So eventually I got better offers. Team Empire
Right.
then contacted me and they wanted to pay me
So,
like
well, sorry to interrupt. You were on Power Gaming for 4 days, correct?
yeah. It was not like it was just it was like it was a stupid decision by me for sure. It was just like I hadn't played for a team for a long time, and I just needed a team. But we didn't part on bad terms. Like I still have them on Skype and so on.
Uh huh.
So it's bad to have many teams, but most of the teams I'm not unfriendly with, even if people seem to think that way.
Right.
That I
right.
was thrown out, exhausted, banished, but that's not the case for a lot of the teams.
Gotcha. So, Team Empire.
Yeah, so Team Empire, I stayed with them for, what was it? I don't know how long, I don't have the dates, but the manager was really nice, a really cool guy, Empire Stranger. There was Kaz in the team, I think you know about Kaz, right?
Yes.
And there was a few other players, I don't really recall who, but I practiced a lot with Kaz, I talked with the manager a lot, but eventually this was the time where I was rising again. I won more and more, and then Dignitas came to me, or I came to them, I'm not sure which, because I saw that MLG was going on.
Uh huh.
It was only the Americans then, so this might seem a bit arrogant, but I saw at the tournaments and I thought I could easily win that.
You were tired of
So I thought-
Kiwikaki winning MLGs? Is that what you're saying? Naniwa?
Yeah. No. I guess it kind of is, but I just saw the MLGs and I saw only Americans competing. And the European scene has always, I think we always have seen ourselves as the stronger scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like compared to America, there's always this like, some Americans think they're way better, some Europeans think they're way better.
Right. Absolutely.
So basically, I joined Dignitas with no salary at all, just for the opportunity to travel to US because I was that confident.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, when I went to assembly with Dignitas, I dropped out really fast, and I dropped out of IEM really fast. So I thought perhaps I'm not made for playing on stage because I get nervous so easily.
Was
So I basically what?
sorry to interrupt. Was this the
No, of course.
season 5 of IEM? Was the one you were? Was that kicked out or banned? What was that when you were on Dignitas?
No, no, no.
Okay.
It was when I was on MYM.
Okay, sorry.
So
Continue
this was
on.
like half a year afterwards.
Sure.
That's yeah. Uh, this is kind of a lot of things. So if I'm not answering something you want to know, just tell me.
Sure. Okay. Awesome.
Mm,
So Dignitas.
basically, yeah. OD, he was like, I don't know how to explain him, but we were way closer than I've ever been to a team ever. In the sense that before every big match I had, like every big LAN event, he called me just to calm me down before the games. So like before I played TSL, before I played MLG, he just called me. He said, "It's okay, man. You have this. You can beat anybody." And I don't know. I think he's a big factor to a lot of my success, at least in that stage.
Uh-huh. What went wrong with Dignitas?
Basically, it's always been the money has been the biggest problem.
Mm-hmm.
Some teams are just not like willing to put up the money at a certain time, I guess. And complexity was there at that time. I'm not sure if I should say any numbers, but complexity offered me 3 times as much as I got in Dignitas.
Okay.
So it was kind of hard to turn down. I went to Dignitas a lot of times and I said, "Hey, if you just give me like half of what they're offering, I'll stay." But they didn't seem to be ready for that at that point, because Dignitas has always been about stability, I guess you can say.
Right.
They will never take a risk just because they just want to be there long term.
Okay.
So as I wanted to just get more money, more opportunities, more fame, and rise as fast as I could, I picked complexity.
Okay. Now, Complexity is probably the one team that I think, when you left them, caused the most controversy of all the teams that you've really been on. It was when you were basically in the spotlight, and the statement that they released, at least the beginning of it, was, "We approached Quantic Gaming and were pleased to find that they were interested in purchasing the contract rights to Naniwa." And it's kind of as if they forced you off the team and that you really had no say in the matter. What was this process like from your point of view?
Well, as it is real talk, I will just say my own opinion of it, exactly as how I saw it.
Sure.
Whether you believe it or not is up to you, I guess. But I will tell the complete truth. I think I'm pretty much known as the guy who will say it, no matter how much trouble it gets me in. Basically, after I played, what was it, Providence, I did really well there for complexity, and I felt like I was deserving of more money, a raise, or at least a bonus for doing well. And Jason Lake, he disagreed with this very strongly, and basically it spiraled out of control. I guess I learned a lot from that you should actually, how to say, take contracts more seriously, I guess.
Okay.
So even if I'm not satisfied with the contract, I should stick it out, or at least find a mutual way to solve it.
You said spiral out of control. Can you elaborate
basically,
on that?
like, I wanted more money, he didn't want to give me more money, we came into arguments, and then from that point it was no return.
Gotcha.
So basically, I felt like I needed a lot out of complexity to make it worth it, because when I lived in MVP house, I think it was probably the worst time of my life, to be honest.
Why is
I've
that?
never been so unhappy or depressed in my entire life.
Why is that?
Basically, if you're alone as a foreigner in a team with 20 Korean people and no one speaks any English at all, and you live in the middle of nowhere where you don't know anybody, you are bound to be very isolated, and no one feels good by being alone. That's just a known fact. And I don't know how to explain it more than that, but
Yeah. No, that makes sense, man.
if you don't have any friends around you, no one to speak to, you will eventually get pretty depressed.
Right.
And I don't think it's like they wanted to be mean or something, but the Korean culture is just you do a certain thing like the group does. But since I didn't know the language, I don't really know the culture either. So it's really, really hard for me to follow them. And there was always bound to be some misunderstanding in some way that would cause it to feel like I was not following what they wanted me to do and so on. And the Korean way of handling problems is basically to just shut them out of the group, like freeze them out.
Right. Sure. Can
Yeah,
you
that's just the way
can you talk about any instances where that kind of happened to you?
It would probably be really bad with me and the Koreans, but yeah, sure.
Hey,
I can
if
take
you
some
don't want to,
examples.
Phil, I mean, I'm not
No,
pushing
no,
you to
it's
say
fine,
anything.
but it's fine. I just leave the names out, I guess.
Okay.
Let me think of a easy example.
Sure.
It's like every Korean team house has a time where you're supposed to eat together, and if you don't eat together with the group, then they think that you don't want to be with them.
Okay.
So then, for example, this happened a few times, and every time they didn't speak to me for a week.
Okay.
So like, sometimes I woke up in the house and there was nobody there. They were all on vacation for like a week, and nobody told me anything.
Ah, okay. Okay. So kind of
It's
a
kind-
foreigner lost
that's
in
why-
lost in translation, basically. You
Yeah,
didn't.
basically.
Yeah. Okay. That
That's
makes
what
sense.
I just realized, that it's impossible to do it alone.
Right.
You really need to have some foreigner there, at least one or two, because you can't go through that alone. Then you
Right.
have to like study the Korean language and culture full time for sure.
Right. Now, I want to go back because obviously this is leading up to Sase coming on to Quantic Gaming and you guys kind of surviving out in Korea together. But I want to go back to Complexity kind of giving you to Quantic. Did you have a say in that matter? Because the statement that they released, it seemed like you did not.
Basically, you can't just transfer a player without their approval. That's not possible. There is nowhere in a contract that you can just throw them away to another team without their consent.
Okay.
So they can't force me by that definition, but I guess what they could have done, if they really want to be mean, is just not send me to events and just like have me in the contract for the remainder. Have me in the team for the remainder of the contract without sending me anywhere. So I did have a choice to say in it, like what team, but it was for my own best.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, fast forward to the news coming out this week. You have now left Quantic Gaming. What happened here? Why did you want out of your contract?
There are a number of reasons. I'll try to break it down as good as I can. First of all, when Quantic was first made, it was only Mark who was the owner. I'm not sure if you know him.
Sure.
Mark for us.
Yeah.
He was a very passionate guy. I agreed with a lot of his visions among, in esports and so on. So it seemed like a good thing to be a part of, and they did a really good job, I think, for a long time. But yeah, eventually money went dry. They needed money, funding, and so on. So they merged with Vile, and basically it was like a split, I guess you can say. Like Mark had some say in it, they had some say in it. So when me and Mark, we negotiated some things and we agreed upon some changes, it was all okay. And then like the next day I got an email saying it's not okay
From Mark?
from the other side.
Oh, okay, okay.
So basically I was promised a lot of things, and then I got an email from the other owner saying that this will not happen. So basically, I guess promises weren't fulfilled to some extent. But on the same hand, Mark did do a lot of good things too. So I don't want to put any bad things on Mark,
Sure.
because he's a really good manager, I think. But that is one of the biggest reasons. I still want to stay until the contract was out, though, before doing anything.
Uh-huh.
But basically, it was me and Sasa, I guess. It's like if you live together 24/7 for a year, eventually you will get tired of each other. I think this is something everybody knows who
Right.
spent a lot of time with another person. I don't hate him. I don't think he hates me either. But the time where we were like really, really best friends was when we didn't live together, and we just met each other like outside the game, and we relaxed, we spoke. But if you have to do everything together every single day, it's too much. So I just felt like either he needs to go out or either I have to. Or not have to, but I don't want to live unhappy. So I'd rather make a change for the both of us.
So this is to say you won't be returning to the pro gaming house you're in Korea, or
Yeah, I don't want to live in Startail anymore.
okay.
They're really nice, but I think it's for the best. We didn't like have a big fight or anything, but you just get tired of each other if you spend a lot of time together.
Were there any more events from Quantic that kind of forced, I guess, forced you out, or was there one breaking point for you, kind of the final straw?
Yeah, the breaking straw was me and Sasa, I guess.
Okay.
When it just felt boring and not encouraging anymore, I guess you can say.
Right.
There is also this element that we're both Swedish, we're both rivals, we play the same race. So eventually there was bound to be that problem too. There's a lot of small factors that basically just tipped it, I guess.
Now, what's next for you? I mean, a lot of people will basically speculate which team you're going to go to, and because you've been on so many teams and been removed from them in a very public fashion, most of the time with a negative tone around it, there's really a few teams to join. Do you have another team lined up right now, or what is the plan for you?
Right now I have a few offers, but I don't want to rush into a new team straight away. I'm not really in a rush. I just want to remember why I started to play the game again, and just take it all from scratch again. To me, it's how to say, an adventure, I guess.
Right, right.
When I'm teamless, and I want to enjoy it for a while before I get a new team. Unless I get a really good offer, but right now I have a few ones that are pretty good, but not perfect.
Now, does this mean that you won't be traveling to a lot of these international events? You'll kind of just stick with GSL for now?
I have gotten, how to say it, proposition from a company in Sweden that wants to send me to events.
Okay.
They don't require me to like be on a team or whatever. They just
Sure.
want to help me, represent them, and so on. So I might do that if I need to travel to events. But for now, I just want to practice in Korea and play GSL.
You also mentioned that you didn't want to return to the StarTel house. Do you have plans of going back to Korea, and if so, where will you be staying and practicing?
I'm talking to a few teams right now, so it's not really sure yet. But I've lived in team houses in Korea for, I don't know how long it is now, 1.5 years.
Uh-huh.
MVP and StarTale, so I basically know how to do it on my own now. I
Okay.
know how to practice, and I have a lot of contacts from the houses, actually. Like, I can practice with a lot of the StarTale players, no problem. So it's not really a big deal.
Are you going to return right back to Korea, or are you going to take some time off?
I'll stay until the 10th, and then I go back. So
Okay.
I have around a month to practice.
Gotcha.
Because I realized a lot of my flaws in the recent tournaments that I've played, and I'm really not satisfied with the results.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, I do want to talk about those tournaments, but for now, we're going to kind of move on with Real Talk and talk about your childhood. So, where were you born, Naniwa?
It's such a small place that nobody will ever know, but...
Well, people can Google it.
Okay. Oh, but it... Yeah, I'll try. I was born in Skåne. It's a part of Sweden. The furthest down south. Do you know Malmö? Perhaps
No,
you do.
man.
Probably not. Yeah.
No, I've never heard
I
of Malmö. I'm
forgot you're
sorry.
American.
Yeah, I'm
You're
the
also
ignorant American,
against
buddy.
Europe. Yeah, it's the southest part of my country, Sweden, and it's a town called Vinslöv. Yeah, it's probably weird for you to hear that pronunciation, but I have to say it because otherwise no one will understand it.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, it's a really, really small town with like 10,000 inhabitants.
Okay.
So yeah, everyone knows everybody. It's that kind of town.
What did your parents do for work when you were a child growing up?
When I was a child or now?
Both.
When I was a child, both my parents were still studying / working. My mother was I don't even know how to say it in English. Union, what's that called? Something with the union, helping people get the jobs or whatever.
Workers' union or social union?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, social union. And my father was, what is it called? Some sort of mechanic.
Auto mechanic or something like that?
Something with cars.
Gotcha.
Something. Yeah, but now my mother is a teacher for art at a school here, and my father is a doctor. That's basically it, I guess.
Okay. Now, this is kind of a rather touchy subject. So as long as you're up for covering it, I'd like to. But a lot of people, people have rumored that kind of you had a rough childhood. And an article posted on Ghost Who Gamers back in August of 2008 said you were kicked out of your house and then after that school from playing Warcraft 3 too much. Can you talk about this or explain the situation at all?
Sure, I can tell you the exact truth, but I'm not sure you will believe it. Basically, when I was that young, I don't know how old I was. 16, maybe? I don't think that's the original article, even. The Ghost of Gamers one.
Right, okay. Yeah, this was back in
maybe
2008.
I was 16 or maybe I was like 16 or 17. Either way, I was playing Warcraft and I was at a friend's home. And I was doing an interview. And basically, I left the room and my friends jumped on the PC and thought it would be funny to continue the interview. I guess write whatever they felt like.
Okay.
So the part of me being kicked out is not true. It's very exaggerated, but I did have some trouble. Like, my father was never very accepting of me playing games for, how to say, not for a living, but spending that much time on it. He always wanted me to focus on studies and so on. But I never got kicked out, though.
What about school? Did you get kicked out of school or no?
No.
Okay.
I finished school. I don't know how it's called in US, but first grade through 9th grade, and then it's gymnasium after that. So I finished that like basic, or what's it called?
Gotcha. Do you have plans, or did you go to college or anything like that, university?
No, not yet. The plan was, if I failed at StarCraft 2 in the beginning, I would go to school, but it went okay.
So you have intentions then of going back to school and getting a degree?
What did you say?
You have intentions of going back to school and one day getting a degree from university?
That is the plan, yeah, but I feel that since I'm playing so much, I'm kind of forgetting everything else in my life.
Right.
Because like, just my brain gets filled with more and more StarCraft stuff, and I forget more about the things I read in school. So, to be honest, I don't even know if I can go back.
What do you think you would
probably
study?
be so destroyed when I'm done.
What do you think you would study?
To be honest, I always want to study psychology because it's the subject I liked the most in school, and it's the one that I always got the best grade at. So, I find it extremely interesting. So I want to do that.
Now, kind of jumping from your childhood to now, has your family kind of eased up or opened up, I should say, to competitive gaming and their feelings on it?
I don't really know their true feelings, but basically, I'm a very I don't know if it's strong personality is the way to put it, but
Uh-huh.
I do what I want when I want, as long as I feel it's right for me. So no matter what they think or what they say, I will always like choose the path that makes me the most happy.
Right.
And right now, that path is just to play games. But they say they accept it, so I hope they do.
Would you say you're close with your family at this stage in your life?
Well, when I'm in Korea, I email them like 2 or 3 times a week. So it's okay. We're not super close, but we're not far away at all.
Are you staying at their house right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm staying at my mom's house right now.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, what were some of your favorite games? Because obviously you didn't just play Warcraft 3 and StarCraft 2. What were some of your favorite games growing up?
My favorite game was Age of Empires. I think it was 2, maybe.
Okay.
And Diablo 1 was also awesome. I remember clearing it when I was like 5 years old, I think.
Did you do the hacks, or did you do it without hacks?
No hacks.
No hacks. Okay.
No hacks, I promise. And I remember playing a lot of Age of Empires with my dad. And I played also some StarCraft 1 with my dad. So that's basically how I got into gaming, I guess. I hated to lose, so like whenever I lost, I just played the entire day and the entire week to try to win.
So it was always then competitive for you. You didn't play any like console games like Mario or Sonic or anything like that growing up?
I don't know what game came first, but I did play Mario and like Zelda and all those games.
Okay.
But I didn't play them until like Nintendo 64.
Oh, okay. So a late adopter. Late adopter.
Yeah, I
Now,
guess so.
when were you first introduced to the Warcraft series?
It was Warcraft 2 at my cousin's place. I was perhaps... I don't know when it came out. Do you know?
Oh, man.
Could I have been like 8 or 9, maybe?
Warcraft 2 was probably 96, 95, something like that. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Red Alert was the first game I played.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Red Alert 1. That was the good old days.
That was good. Yeah, that was fun stuff, man.
That was a pretty good game, to be honest.
Yeah, it was. All the Command & Conquer games were great back then.
Yeah.
So,
What was that game called? KKND? Do you know about it?
no.
Kill, Crush, and Destroy?
I've
No?
never heard of that game, no.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Was it
the best game.
Was it an RTS for the PC, or?
Yeah, it was. It was.
Did you pretty much primarily play RTSs once you kind of got into the Command & Conquers, the Age of Empires, and then the Warcraft 3s of the world?
Yeah, when I came to Warcraft 2 and Warcraft 3, I never changed game until I like quit Warcraft.
What?
I don't know, I like hard games, I guess.
Well,
So
yeah,
if I would have known about StarCraft 1, like the scene, I
Right.
would have probably played that instead of Warcraft 3.
Right. You say you like hard games. You picked Undead in Warcraft 3. Arguably,
Doesn't get much harder than that, man.
yeah, probably the hardest race in the game out of all the other ones. What would you describe your Warcraft 3 kind of legacy as, if you had to regale one time in a bar or something, or talk to your friends about it?
Well, first of all, I would never ever say legacy, because I was not very successful at Warcraft. To be honest, I didn't want to go to events in Warcraft 3, because I thought it was way more fun to practice than play tournaments. I don't know, it might be a kind of an odd way to play it, but I just enjoyed practicing and playing the game.
Right.
I didn't really care for the competitions and so on, because
Interesting.
I was still in school, so it was just a hobby for me. I got some extra money and so on. But I think if I gave it my all, I still couldn't have become like grubby level or so on, just because the game was, in my opinion, really unbalanced.
Gotcha. Well, when did you decide to transfer over to StarCraft 2 from Warcraft 3?
StarCraft 2?
Yes.
Basically, I just ended school and I saw StarCraft 2 was coming out. So I waited and I saw the beta. So I was thinking, should I go to school straight away, or should I like try for like half a year and see if I can become good and then go to school? So that's when I won, what was it, 3 Sota Cups in a row or something?
Yes.
I remember I was so happy.
Right. The first
But, like-
the first person in StarCraft 2 to do something like that as well. I want to state.
Yeah, but the thing is, it was kind of a unique situation. I lived alone back then
Okay.
because I was going. My school was in the same town, and I lived pretty far away. So I had my own apartment, but how to say, I didn't have a job, right? So how was I going to pay for the place? I needed a job or just continue school. But I chose to pursue gaming. So basically, I had no money, and it came to that point where if I didn't win, like Sota Cups, go for StarCraft 2s every month, I couldn't pay my rent.
Okay.
So I didn't want to quit the game and go to school. So I just told myself, I have to win. If I
Gotcha.
don't win, I have to quit.
So basically, you were, in a sense, kind of playing to live.
Yeah, I guess so. So that's why I was thinking that I perhaps should retire when I failed like 2 or 3 lands, because I felt like if I can't perform on the highest stage, there is no point for me, because then I can't ever win like enough money and so on.
Sure.
So that's why I said when I went to MLG Dallas, if I don't win this event, I told my parents I'll quit the game and I go straight to school. Yeah, but I got lucky, I guess, and I won the tournament.
With the transition from StarCraft 2, or excuse me, from Warcraft 3 to StarCraft 2, what were some of the hardest things for you to make that transition in terms of mechanics? Like, what did you find yourself lacking in, but also what did you find yourself excelling at?
I think what I always excelled at is micro, and I still do. I think I still think that I have like world class micro, but my weakness has always been my macro. And in Warcraft, there is basically no macro at all. So I was pretty crippled, I guess, and I think all Warcraft players were when we made the switch. It was like we control so good, but we have so few units. Why? Why?
Right.
I don't understand.
Gotcha.
And we sat there with like 9 probes against like 22 for the entire game. We didn't understand anything. So I guess when I watched a lot of replays and so on, I guess it came pretty fast, but still it was really, really hard to learn to multitask and macro. I remember when I first played the game, I played Protoss for like 3 games. I lost all games. Then I played Terran for like 3 games, and I lost all games. I played Zerg, and I lost all the games again. So then I played random, and I said, whichever race I win one game with, I'll just play that race.
So this is how you
So
came up on
eventually-
Protoss.
No, actually I won the first game with Zerg.
Oh.
But then I saw a VOD with Bisu, and I thought it was super cool, because he used Psystorm, but Psystorm was not so good in StarCraft 2 apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was really
Interesting.
cool, so I picked
So-
Protoss.
In another day in life, Naniwa could have been a Zerg player, and you would have been winning tournaments left and right now. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that at all. It's a balanced game, man. I have no opinion about balance.
Gotcha. Well, we'll talk balance a little bit later on, because I do want to get your thoughts on that.
Okay.
Let's talk about your historic win at MLG Dallas 2011. It really solidified yourself kind of as a StarCraft 2 pro. In the interview that we shared on stage, you famously said, "It's all right," after winning probably the biggest event at that time for StarCraft 2. Describe to me what went through your head when you had won that tournament. Kind of what was that experience like for you? Because in the interview, you showed no emotion. Were you really emotionless after that win?
The thing is, when I said it was not when I won the tournament, but it was when I just beat Select in the winner bracket. So I felt like I can't be too happy because I beat a teammate. And that's when they asked me how I felt. So I felt like if I say that I feel amazing, it would be really, really rude to Select.
Gotcha.
So I just try to keep it like very casual.
So it was a pretty big deal for you then, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
to be honest, I went from the open bracket,
Mm-hmm.
and I was not even expecting to win the event. As I said, I already had like massive nerve problems, and I couldn't perform.
Right.
So I was just waiting for my time to drop out, I guess. But I just kept winning. I don't know how.
I guess, well, I guess we could just watch the replays and we'll figure out how. I was gonna say you forgated, but that's just a bad joke.
Few games.
Yeah. Most recently, you played WCS Nordic and the TSL 4 matches, and you were eliminated in both rather quickly. What is it like for you? You're one of the players out there that's saying that you practice so much, you practice so hard. What is it like to train so hard like you do, and then go to these events and just be knocked out after the first best of 3 or really early on in the tournament?
I agree for TSL, but I came 4th place at WCS, so it was like 10 best of 3s, I guess. I don't know if that's so early, but
right. But you were still very upset, right?
WCS Sweden.
Yeah.
I'm known as the guy to watch out for from Sweden. I think I can say that at least. Basically, I'm used to the GSL format, I suppose, where you practice for a week for a certain match. You know the maps, so you can plan everything beforehand. Basically, when I came to this event, I planned that I was going to meet Sortov in the winner bracket, which I did. And I won 2-0 in the winner bracket. So everything went as planned there, but then I played him again in the loser bracket, and then he already knew my strategies. And as I said, I only prepared 2, because I'm used to the GSL format.
Right.
So he basically blind countered me, and I played the same strats again, which was really stupid. Thorstein, I guess, I don't know how to say it, but I've always seen myself as better than him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I have enough respect for the Swedish players. They deserve a bit more respect than I give them. I guess I'm getting some kind of what is called hybris from playing in GSL, and every day I get people saying to me, "Wow, you're so good, you're the best, you rock in GSL, blah 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 blah."
Right.
So eventually, if you aren't careful, you will, how did you say? You will start to believe these guys, and you will think that you are on top of the world, untouchable. And you will just think, no matter what you do, you're going to win. But that's not the case. You really have to be focused for every single opponent, and I wasn't, and that's my big mistake. I think the most famous example for this would be Huck. No real example, I guess, but he's played a lot of tournaments, he has a lot of experience, but his ego seems pretty big when it comes to him against not so famous players, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a particular match, but whenever I see him in an interview, he just says he's going to crush everybody and so on. I think that's great to have confidence, but there's a very fine line between overconfidence and just normal confidence. And I think if you play against a player who's a bit worse than you, and you're overconfident, you're still going to lose. So I'm just trying to find the balance, like where I'm comfortable with confidence, but where I don't look down upon them.
Is it hard for you to, you play, you have these huge practice regiments. Is it hard for you to go to these tournaments, not perform up to your standards, and then just immediately start practicing again?
I forgot the question. Yeah, sometimes it's really hard, but some events are way harder than others. For example, WCS Sweden was the hardest one in a long time. Like, I came top 4 in my own country. I can't even imagine how... No, I don't even want to think about how bad that makes me feel. But yeah, I guess there is no avoiding it. I should just accept reality. It makes me feel really terrible. Not just me, but because I know people expect so much of me. Like, when I think about that, I'm not even going to be at the European WCS finals. I just feel like that can't be true. That can't be reality. How can a player like me not be at the European finals? But yeah, it's real. I know. It feels really bad. When I played in GSL and I lost in Code A round 1, three times in a row, I felt horrible, but the DreamHack and Sweden is very special for me, I guess. I've always been cheered on when I play in GSL, so I want to like give something back, I guess.
Right.
To show everyone that I'm the guy from Sweden, nobody else. But at every DreamHack, I come so close, but I never go all the way. So I guess it's really frustrating, but I guess I should have not so high expectations on myself to win every single event. Because I think with too much pressure, you can't perform your best anyway. But yeah, I don't want to blame it on the tournament or whatever, but every time we played the DreamHack tournament, it has been, what's it called? 60, what's it called? The refresh rate on the screen.
60 hertz.
60 hertz, yeah. And every time I play in GSL, it's 120. And every time I practice, it's also 120. And I use mouse acceleration, which is greatly influenced by the hertz. So my sensitivity always feels very, very different. I'm not saying I would have won, because that's no way to prove it. But I think I'm going to have to start practicing without mouse acceleration. And perhaps with a bit worse gear.
You know, I want to expand on this a little bit. It's always stated, or I guess it's well known that a lot of times you go to these events and the tournament organizers have, or at least the admins, sorry, have a rough time when it comes to probably, I guess, the same issue like you just mentioned. Is it only that, or is there something that these tournaments can do better on an organizational and an administrative side?
For example, I think they are way too biased. If they get, like, if I say something, they will take care of it for sure, like, in no time. They will try at least. But if someone who's totally unknown says something, they won't even take it seriously. I guess it's the same way everywhere in the world, but I think we just need to realize that even if they are not as good players, they still can have, like, good points. For example, I've seen so many tournaments where worse players, their PCs are like lagging and they get disconnected and so on, and then they get a lose just because they're not famous, and the other guy is really well known. So I think admins should just be more open-minded, I guess. That's a big part of it.
Who would you say, from your point of view, going to a tournament, which one are you least worried about, kind of the refs and the admins there, and which are you, when going to a tournament, are you always worried that, well, I have to go deal with these guys again?
To be honest, I really don't like ESL because I think they still hold a grudge against me because of the Germany thing and so on. And I think they think that I hold a grudge against them. But someone I really like at tournaments is Carmack. He's always there, like, trying to fix everything, even if it makes his organization look really bad. I know he's part of ESL, but there's Carmack, and then there's, like, the other German ESL staff. So if you tell something to Carmack, he will always try to solve it, and I think that's really nice. I guess one that I don't really like is MLG. I know you work for them, but...
No, man, this is real talk. Feel free to shit on MLG. No hard feelings at all.
There is not so much to shit on, but...
Right, that was probably a little bit strong.
There is some things... I guess Providence thing is the one I'm referring to. It was really, really badly handled by them, I think, but I don't know if it's worth going back to. But for example, when they told me one thing and it was not true at all. Like, I remember it like last night. They told me Shakuras is cross only. And then I scout cross and he's not there. And then I told the admin and he just told me, hey, I never said that. I don't know. It was very tilting. I guess that's all.
Which event was this at?
Providence.
Okay.
Nesty.
Oh, okay. This was the Nesty match on stage, right?
But I don't think we need to go back to that.
Yeah. I think you've had your words on that event for sure. So moving along, what would you say has been the lowest point in your competitive career, and how as a player and as a person did you come back from that?
As I said, it was when I got kicked out of MYM and the EPS League. I didn't know what to do for like 6 months. No team would have me, and I just thought I should quit right there. But all the hate really fueled me. Like seeing all the hate comments on every site, I just felt like I needed to become better and show them their place, I guess. So yeah, that was the biggest motivational factor for me.
Gotcha. Is it hard? I mean, in the StarCraft 2 player landscape, you're probably the one player that's targeted or singled out by the community and by a lot of people for just having. I mean, I'll just be blunt, for being like an asshole to people. That's just how it is. Is it hard to keep your emotions in check when you garner so much attention for just being who you are?
I do think that I'm a very unique person, I guess, personality, and all of that comes with it. Yeah, I think it's really bad for me to show my true emotions because they will never be understood by like the general public or people in general. There will always be some people who understand me, but a lot more that don't. But I don't know. I don't want to act like someone who I'm not. So I rather feel good and just say it with the risk of there being a misunderstanding than just keeping it inside of me and not saying anything. I guess I'm saying that I don't want to be two-faced.
Right. Gotcha.
Because I know there's a lot of people like that in the community, and I just don't like being like that. Was there something else regarding that, or?
Well, is there a specific way you kind of deal with that? Have you gotten better about it in terms of keeping kind of your opinions or your thoughts to yourselves, whereas in the past you've been very outspoken with it?
Well, I think so. I think I realized that I don't, even if I think something, I don't have to say it just for the cause of it. And let's be honest, I've said a lot of stupid shit. I know that. And the thing is, my reasons are not very good, even. I just say provocative things because I feel like it.
Uh-huh.
Not because I have a reason, which is very stupid in the long run. Very, very stupid. Like, I think I deserve a lot of the hate because I bring it on myself. It's like, when I don't have anything to do, I just hop on Twitter and I see something that, like, you can expand on, being provocative, I just go for it. And that's really, really stupid. But recently I'm not doing anything like that because well, as you can hear, I realize how stupid it is. So I think it's better if I just keep calm and just try to focus on the game.
Right, right.
So I hope eventually I will not do anything like that.
I want to talk about, I brought this up in Real Talk with Tasteless. A lot of players have a hard time traveling to all the events, like going to another country and coming back a couple days later. You've opted to stay in Korea, and you're one of the only players to do this and just focus primarily on the GSL. You do go to some other big tournaments, but for the most part, it's staying in Korea and focusing on GSL. How do you feel kind of about the life of a pro gamer? Do you feel like it's too demanding, or do you wish there were certain aspects that were better kind of for pro gamers?
Let's start with, I think this is like the best job ever. I don't think it's too demanding at all. I think that's just people who never had a real job and they don't know what they're talking about. That's just my opinion, though.
Right.
Because if you've tried any other job, you really realize that being a StarCraft 2 pro gamer is like a dream.
Well, I want to interject. What real jobs have you worked?
It's not like a long-time job or whatever, but in the education that I was studying, we were out at different jobs for like 6 months or so, trying different stuff.
Uh-huh.
I don't think I need to say like specific jobs, but either way, I realized that this is a dream in comparison.
Okay.
Sitting and playing a computer game for 12 hours a day that you love, how can that be so bad and demanding? I don't get it. But I guess traveling a lot becomes really difficult sometimes, but still, playing the tournament is extremely fun. And I don't think anyone is forced to go to an event. I think that's basically their own choice. I've never heard about an organization that forces you to go to an event, though.
Right, right.
Um, I guess it's different for everyone, though, like what they feel about gaming. But for me personally, I have a big passion for gaming, and I don't have any regrets at all.
Okay, all right. How do you feel, or what are your thoughts, rather, about the Team Z style relationship that the community, the majority of the community has with kind of its superstars, and more specifically with yourself?
What did you say again?
I guess do you know what Team Z is? I just realized you probably don't know what that is.
No.
Okay, so paparazzi, is that, you know, paparazzi?
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. I know
yeah.
that.
So with that style of relationship, how do you, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think the community should lighten up? Are you glad that they exist kind of as that role?
Well, clearly I'm not glad for that role, but it's inevitable, I think. If you want to bring this mainstream, if like the more attention you get, the better for esport, I think.
Okay.
So the more people that care, I think that's a good thing. But clearly it gets really annoying too if you want to have a personal life. For example, for me and for the other, even more well-known. For example, Day9. He's expected to act a certain way, and if he doesn't, then it's a big deal, I guess, for a lot of fans.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good thing and a bad thing, but personally, I don't really mind. It's just a thing that comes with a job, in my opinion. And I don't know. Sometimes I don't want to sign stuff, and that's when it becomes a problem, but I think I'm a bit ungrateful if I don't want to sign stuff.
Right, right.
But when I lose a game or so, I think they can try to have some understanding that is not the biggest thing on my mind to sign their mousepad.
Well, kind of switching gears to another point of the community, Star Nation documentary put on that's coming out 2013, 2014, and one of the major focal points is yourself within the documentary. What is it like to be in that documentary, and how's that process going?
As far as I know, he was recently at the White House house in Ukraine. I didn't see any update about it though, but for me personally, I started it a long time ago when I was in Dignitas. My manager told me to do it, and like whatever he said, I just obeyed. That was our like deal, I guess, or relationship.
This is Odie, just for those.
Yeah,
wondering.
he has like whenever I got like upset about the game or whatever, he has told me shut up. So he was like the best manager to control me, I think. Like, it was probably the funniest times of my career. I hope I can go back there someday, but we'll see. Star Nation in itself, I'm not sure what to think about it exactly, to be honest. It's a guy with not much experience before that, I'm pretty sure. He seems to care a lot about it, and I like to be helpful and bring esport in a positive light, but from what I saw in the trailer, it seems that he has other plans, for me in the movie at least.
Uh-huh.
It seems to be like White Troy is the good guy and I'm like the super villain or something like that. I don't know how I feel about that, but I hope that's not how it will end.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's not in my power.
Do you have, I mean, do you know if there's plans to come and shoot you at any moment, or is the filming for your stories basically in the movie kind of finished?
No. They've already been at GSL a couple of times, shooting me and so on.
Okay.
It's not done at all.
Okay.
But there's a few discussions like what the film will be about still, like people who will join or not join, and if we will focus more on White Trow or me and so on.
Okay.
So I'm not really sure yet.
Gotcha. Well, you know, it's ironic that I get a player on here and all we talk about is drama. So I want to talk about the actual game for just a little bit here. What are your feelings? Just broad question on balance currently.
I don't know if it's so much balance, to be honest, but I think the Zerg race design is too simple. Um, I feel that you can play the same thing against Protoss, for example, every single game. Even if they know what you're doing, it's still hard to stop. And I speak, of course, about the Stefano style. 3 hatchery, no gas. Even if you see it coming, they don't have to hide anything. It's still really, really hard to play against. So while I don't necessarily think it's imbalanced, it's more that, for example, the MC style is the best way to play against Zerg. He has like 25 builds, or something like that. He has a lot of builds, is my point at least. So I think you have to surprise the Zerg to some extent, or to be able to win. And if they know what you're doing, you're already kind of going to lose, I think. That's how I feel, at least. But I am not known as a CVP sniper, by all means. Probably the exact opposite of that. So I don't know how much is my emotions that are speaking, rather than like just pure objective balance talk, I guess.
In the StarCraft 2 player pool, is there someone that you are afraid of facing? Is there someone that you go to a tournament and you see them in the player pool and you're like, well, I hope I don't play them? Or is it just any Zerg?
To be honest, I don't really feel like CVP is super imbalanced. As I said, it's more like you have to be unpredictable and some things have to go your way. But if they do, then it's an even playing field. As a player, I really, really feared Dongregu before, to be honest. Like, when I looked at GSL, I'm like, I hope I don't get to play that guy. And of course I did. And then the GSL before that, I'm like, I don't want to play MVP. And sure, I did. Kind of unlucky, I guess. But if you want to win the tournament, you have to play all the players anyway, so...
Right.
But when I played MVP, I just felt like he won the mind game war, not the actual skill war. Even if mind games is some kind of skill, you still have some basic skill. And I don't think I was lacking in that part. I felt the same way when I played Dongregu, especially when I was 2-2 against him. I just felt like, well, I guess it's a classical mistake that I always do. You feel that you're winning in game 5. You're so pumped up, you can't control your hands. Your nerves, your heartbeat, it's just going way out of control. So I made several stupid mistakes, like if I just microed properly against Dongregu in game 5, I would have taken the game. But I just felt like, oh god, I'm going to win. I'm going to be in round of 4. Oh god. I don't know, it's something I've done a lot of times.
Would you say
so I don't fear him anymore, though.
Would you say that GSL's the most nerve-wracking / most prestigious tournament for you?
I think it's the most prestigious tournament for all players at the moment, at least.
Right.
Perhaps the OSL it might be the same thing. I'm not really familiar with OSL yet. But yeah, for me at least, when you go into that booth, it's so soundproof and so like shut off from everything else. You can't see anybody. It's just you in your world. So it's a really exciting experience. Not terrifying, but exciting. Like, I never feel as good as when I win a GSL game. The feeling you get when you win there, it's amazing.
I want to talk about that a little bit more. Kaldor has been very present in a lot of your big matches at GSL. What is your relationship with Kaldor, and is he kind of... Would you consider him a coach, a mentor, or where do you and him stand, I guess?
Well, I think that's what he would consider himself, but I would not consider him a mentor or a coach. But I think that's what he is thinking, though. He always comes to the GOM studio because he's that kind of guy. He goes to the gym every day. Whenever he gets a chance to go for a walk, he just goes. So it's not like we were best friends when he came to the studio or whatever, but I've met him a lot of times in Korea, and I lived in the GOM house at first, so we talked a lot then. We met at a lot of events, so we still keep in contact. We're good friends, but it's always nice to have someone there. Just like, if I need something, he's there to help me, and since he works at GOM, it's extra helpful, I guess. Yeah, I guess it's just reassuring to have him there, I guess. And he's very emotional too, so when I win, it's really, really, really funny for me. I always get like a super big hug or a handshake or something.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I was speaking to, and all of the famous gifts that come out of your wins. It's always Caldor rushing into the booth afterwards. So I was wondering
Yeah.
kind of what that relationship was.
I'm pretty sure he gets more nervous than me or more emotional than me when I play.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Like, whenever you see his Twitter when I'm playing, it's like
Oh yeah,
20 tweets per second or something like that.
yeah. He definitely goes crazy. Definitely goes crazy.
Yeah, but he's so enthusiastic. I love to see that in esport, though. Yeah, really nice, I think.
In terms of players, who is an up and coming player? Not necessarily that you fear, but players that people in the community should kind of be on the lookout for. That when they do well in a tournament, they shouldn't be so surprised by.
Uh,
Foreigner and
right
Korean,
now,
I should say.
sort of, I think. The Zerg player in Sweden, sort of.
Yeah.
I lost to him. I don't know if it's because of Zerg or because he's good, but he's one to look out for. Like, I say that because I seriously don't know if it's Zerg that's too good or me not being good enough. I hope it's him being good. But I think you shouldn't be too surprised if he does really well at IEM. And in Korea, let me think. I haven't been there for a while, so I don't know everybody yet. But who I'm looking at still, it's the same people, I guess. Puzzle and partying and so on.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, no one special in Korea. There's always so many great players in Korea, so it's really, really hard to say who's going to like be up and coming or whatever. But
Sure.
in Europe, I say sort of, and America, Suppi, I think he's named.
Yeah. Yeah. The newest EG
Yeah,
member.
I saw him play against Bishu, and he played pretty good. I was surprised. I'm not used to seeing a lot of American players play really good.
Yeah.
It might be a weird thing to say, but it's like they hype themselves so much, so you get this unreal expectation of them,
Sure.
and then you see them play, and it's like, oh, I thought it was way better, but he's not been hyped at all. So when I actually saw him play, he was pretty good, I think.
Well, kind of winding down now in the interview, I feel really that you, and I stated this in the opening of the show, that you rarely have a chance to speak for yourself, and the majority of the time, people are always kind of speaking for you. So here's your chance. You can say whatever the hell you want about anything that you want. I just kind of want you to finally have a platform to stand on and say whatever you want, because a lot of times people are saying whatever they want about you. So feel free.
Well, I can't really say anything. I mean, everything that I haven't have been able to say before. It's kind of too late for that, but I guess my main point is that before you know the entire story, don't just say whatever you think I have done or what I'm feeling. Just wait a while until you get both sides of it, I suppose. Even though I understand that it's really easy to hate a guy like me, when you have the reputation that I have and the what do you call it? When you're used to speaking your mind, what's it called? Just being blunt, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, being blunt, being honest.
Yeah, I guess
Brutally honest, probably the best way to say it.
I guess I'm way too blunt for this community and this scene. And I don't think they're used to people like that. And I know a lot of people in real life that are really bugged by that. I'm not very subtle. I just hope that you will not intentionally find malice in my words. And just try to understand the context before judging. I really don't mean to be rude a lot of the times. I guess that's all.
All right. Well, 2 more questions for you. What's next for Naniwa? Are there any goals that you have in 2012 that you still haven't fulfilled?
Yeah, I have a few goals. My next goal would be at least getting to round of 4 in GSL, Codeheads. That's my Korea goal for now. At the end of the year, I want to be in the OSL too, and I want to win at least one more big foreign tournament in 2012. And also, I want to find a really nice, stable team, I guess. That's a really important thing for me. Not necessarily money or so, just a team where I can go travel and where I have like stability, where I know that if I do bad at one event, I won't be threatened to be kicked and so on. Because it's really, really hard to play with that kind of pressure.
I want to interject. Have you been on teams before where you feel like if you lose or perform poorly in a tournament, that your contract is on the line?
Maybe not like that directly, but it's like some teams, they hire you because you are who you are, and they obviously want results, right? So if you don't bring in what they want, you won't get the salary that you want. And let's face it, when you're part of a team, you're basically their bitch. That's how it is. Like, you're in this contract, you have no say over how the contract will actually be. Except for, like, salary and travel. They can, like, if they don't like you, they can, like, ground you and not make you go to any events and just ride your contract out. So you basically have to do whatever they say. I think that's something that will develop in the future in esports, but for now, this is the way it is. I'm not going to name team names because that would be really stupid of me.
Right,
but
right.
yeah, I've felt that kind of pressure before, that if I don't perform, because then there is basically no point for them to have me on the team. And I have gotten those messages where basically they say you have to win. And playing with that kind of pressure is not easy at all.
Yeah, that's pretty shitty of a coach to do that.
If you have to think about that kind of shit when you're playing,
that's terrible.
It's unbearable.
I bet.
It was like when I played WCS now, I knew I wouldn't have a team when I was done with the tournament.
Yeah.
So that's basically like, if I don't win now, then the teams I'm talking to now won't recruit me. And that was true for a few of them.
Really?
Sad life, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I shouldn't be so surprised by that.
yeah, it makes sense. He's a player who has no team yet, so you don't have to sign him.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just the way the world works, and I don't really hold any grudge against them. But yeah, I wish they didn't have such small faith in me.
Now, before I ask kind of the final question that we've kind of had a staple here on Real Talk, any hints on potential teams or where you're going to end up? I know you talked about that you have a lot of offers, but are you leaning one way already, or are you still thinking critically about it?
To be honest, I'm thinking very critically about a lot of teams and where I might want to go, but there is one team where like we're still speaking, and we've been speaking like for half a year or more, every single day, for the time where I would eventually be teamless. But if they can somehow give me what I need as a minimum, I want to like stay there for the rest of my career, but it's not sure at all.
Okay.
Because right now it's a really bad time for teams in general, because it's not, what's it called? Like, they've already made their budget.
Right.
So it's really hard for them to plan. If it was 6 months from now, I would have known for sure what team I would have joined and what I would have probably stuck with for the rest of my career. Because I've been in a lot of teams now, and I know what I want, and I know what I need to like be satisfied. But if I can't get this team that I want, then I will have to choose a new team.
How long will you stay teamless? I mean, you said 6 months from now that the team you'd probably be on that team.
Yeah, so obviously I can't really sign a new team if I want to stay with them. So I'll stay teamless as long as I can.
Okay.
In order to give them as much time as they need. And hopefully it will solve itself. Otherwise, I'll just have to pick a new team.
All right. Well, final question I have for you is, how do you define success? And using that as kind of the definition for success, do you find yourself to be successful right now in StarCraft 2?
I think my definition of successful as a pro gamer is that you should at least win one major tournament. And I guess I've done that, but my expectations for myself are way higher than I think most people have. Like, for myself, I expected myself to already have won GSL. I think that's pretty far-fetched when I think about it, like with logic. But in my heart, I feel like I'm good enough. I want to win everything. So that's why every time I lose, I'm so super sad. Successful until now. If I would have like quit StarCraft 2 right now and look back on it, I would say that I had a pretty good career. But in 3 years, when I've seen what other people have accomplished, I don't think I would have felt the same way. So that's why I think I need to do what I've done already and then extend it by 3 or 4 years, hopefully even better, to be really successful as a pro gamer, I think.
Gotcha. All right, man. Well, that's all the questions I've got for you. So you got any shout outs? Where can people check you out on Twitter? I know you've been streaming a lot, so go ahead and feel free to promote any of that.
Sure. When I go back to Korea, I'm going to stream a lot more again. My stream is Twitch TV / what's it called? Wait. Naniwa SC2 is my stream, and it's also my Facebook and my Twitter, so please follow me on both. It will be really helpful for me. So please do that.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on. I know in the past we wanted to do this and things happened, so I'm glad we finally got this done. Yeah, I guess this has been Real Talk with Naniwa. We'll have Artosis' episode either later this week. I think he leaves for Australia on Monday, so might not be able to fit that in. State of the Game still coming back. I've just been in the process of figuring out where I'm going to live and all that shit, so it'll eventually come back. But yeah, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go check out Naniwa's stuff. I know a lot of people love his stream. If you haven't seen it, please go check it out. And hopefully, I think a lot of people watching this will now kind of see a new side to you, Naniwa. So thanks again for coming on, and we will see you guys next time. JP here for Real Talk. See you guys then.